What's up, everybody? Happy Victory Monday. My name's Andy Herman. Welcome into the Pack-A-Day podcast here on YouTube. Excited to go over the Packers' win over the Chicago Bears, clinching their 8th win of the season, ensuring that they have no losing season, although that never really seemed in doubt. I think we can say that at this point, the Bears still suck. I think that was maybe one of the biggest takeaways from this game. It was a really interesting game, and I should probably start by saying I was wrong. For those of you who listened to my podcast from a couple days ago entitled Beware the Bears, question mark, I was definitely wrong. I thought the Bears were going to keep this much closer. Well, I've never really believed in the Bears team this year, even when they were, 5-1 earlier to start the season. I did think that Green Bay was maybe going to have a little bit of a tougher time bouncing back from that loss to Indianapolis. I was very, very wrong in that regards. And I thought, frankly, that with everything on the line for the Bears, including, Matt Nagy's job, Mitch Trubisky's, this is really, probably Mitch Trubisky's one last shot at any sort of level of redemption. Ryan Pace's job, there's a lot on the line here for Chicago. And the fact that they came into this game, really 2 games, out of, first place in the NFC North, they win this game and they're 1 game out of the NFC North. I just thought Chicago had way more to play for in this game. Plus, they were coming off of a bye. Green Bay's coming off a game where they played 85 snaps on defense. I thought this would be much, much closer. And Green Bay just shut the door on things really, really early. I thought the fumble return for a touchdown by Preston Smith was really what really kind of slammed the door shut early in the game. They, of course, go up 41-10. Chicago put some points up in garbage time to make it look a little bit closer. You'd have loved to see Green Bay, slam the door shut and make it so that they didn't get those points. I think really there was a 4th and 11, in the fourth quarter, up 41-10 in Green Bay territory. Anthony Miller, beat Chandon Sullivan on the outside, picked up a first down. I think if Sullivan and the defense can get a stop there, I think Green Bay I think Chicago probably just shuts down shop pretty much at that point. Green Bay, probably mostly runs out the clock and probably gets out with a fairly decisive victory. Instead, Chicago gets a couple garbage time touchdowns, which I'm not going to hold too much against Green Bay in that regards. When the game was on the line and in anywhere near question, they won this game 41-10. And Green Bay played soft on defense, even softer than normal, if you will, to try to make sure that Chicago didn't get any big plays down the field. They were willing to give up 15 play, 75 yard, 5-6 minute drive in exchange time for points at that point. So I don't think there's anything to be too overly concerned with. But as I went back and I even rewatched this game, I rewatched already on the condensed version of the game, I was really looking for something of a takeaway. And you guys know I love to bring you guys something, whether it's a theme that I picked up throughout the game, whether it was an overarching thought, whatever the case may be. I try to go a little bit deeper and go above and beyond to bring you guys something that is maybe a little bit different, maybe a little bit unique. But I really struggled to pick up anything. It was a fairly nondescript game overall. I don't think we learned anything, again, maybe more than that the Bears still suck. From a Packers standpoint, I don't want to take anything away from this victory in any way, shape, or form. I don't think we can have the conversation of, being disappointed when the Packers lose or, win ugly against the Jaguars and then, they beat the Bears, but the Bears suck and, that's what they were supposed to do. I don't think that's a fair conversation to have. I think they took care of business early and often. I thought Aaron Rodgers was fantastic. Just getting Green Bay into reasonable, down and distances, reading the defense, really just distributing the ball really well, putting the ball where it really needed to be, except for one deep shot to Devontae Adams. I just thought he played really good football. I thought they ran the ball really well and certainly much better than they have recently. But for the most part, other than Green Bay coming up with a few more turnovers in this game, which I'll get to in just a moment, I thought this was basically the Packers' formula so far under Matt LaFleur. They won the turnover battle. They didn't allow any big plays defensively. Aaron Rodgers played well. The offense played great. The defense was okay and mostly good and came up with some big plays. He gave up maybe some more yardage than they would have liked in garbage time, but an okay performance by the defense. Still some concerns here and there. And the special teams was mostly nondescript. as we've talked about previously, this has been the formula for the Matt LaFleur led Green Bay Packers. And specifically this year, where the offense is well ahead of the defense. Last year it was much closer, where both were probably a bit above average. Now Green Bay's offense is great, and the Packers' defense is definitely below average at this point. But I don't know that there's anything, above and beyond extraordinary that you can take away outside of that from this game. I do think there's a couple players that really stood out. I think Robert Tonyan is one, or Tonyan. I hate going, away from Tonyan. I've known Tonyan for so long. It's disappointing to have to move to Tonyan at this point, but I think, he's a player that's really come into his own. And I think the difference that he's made at tight end, 5 targets last week, 5 catches, 5 targets this week, 5 catches, has the double move and the big touchdown deep down the field, moved the chains on a couple different occasions. He's not a great blocker, but he's an effort blocker, and he, does just enough to kind of get in the way and mostly get the job done more often than not. Did have a holding penalty in this game, but I think just his overall presence and his ability to stretch the defense, pick up first downs, get open, block adequately, I think he's just such a huge upgrade from what Jimmy Graham brought a season ago. And I think just that stabling presence. I'm not sure he's far off from where Jared Cook was, when he had the 1 year in Green Bay. I don't think he's, to that Jermichael Finley level to any extent, and especially not as a playmaker down the field. But as an overall just solid tight end, he has brought so much to this team, certainly more than Jimmy Graham, certainly more than Martellus Bennett ever did, and some of the tight ends that they've trotted out recently, Lance Kendricks, and so on and so forth. It's just a really stabling presence at that tight end position. I know a lot of people thought it was going to be Sternberger. They spent a 3rd-round pick on Josiah DeGuara. Mercedes Lewis is always going to be that blocking tight end, but Tonyan's been the guy that's really, grabbed the bull by the horns and become a really, an above-average starter, I think, at the tight end position at this point. I think it's fair to call him that. And had it not been for just a couple, I don't want to say missed throws, but just a couple balls that could have been a little bit better to Tonyan throughout the season, we're talking about a 10-plus touchdown performance so far this season from Robert Tonyan, and I still think there's a good chance that he gets over 10 touchdowns this year. So just a really big season for him, and he followed it up with another really big game against the Bears. And then Darnell Savage, who, interestingly enough, and I've mentioned this to you guys before, last year I thought he struggled at times a lot more than when people were willing to admit, and I think there's always a level of accident forgiveness when you're a rookie and starting your first year and there's high expectations, but I think he struggled more than a lot of people let on a season ago. And while people were kind of pumping him up, I was the one that was pumping the brakes and saying, hold up. We need to see a lot more from Darnell Savage before we just anoint him the long-term starter at safety. And I should mention as well, loved the prospect of Darnell Savage. Even last year, even on tape, you could see the speed, the instincts. You could see that, his ability to come up and hit. You could see everything that you wanted to see. If you're looking at him from a scout's eye, I'm talking about 2019, even though he wasn't playing well, from a scouting standpoint, you loved what he was on tape, and you still saw that there was a ton of potential there. But as a coach, if you're looking at it from a coach's standpoint, a lot of things that really needed a lot of cleaning up. And then, interestingly enough, kind of the juxtaposition this year, everyone else is saying, Darnell Savage is a bust and he's not living up to expectations. He's not making plays. And I was kind of the opposite. I was kind of saying, hey, hold up. He's playing just fine. Maybe he's not coming up with some of those big plays, but he's playing solid football. He's taking better angles to the ball carrier, or in coverage, certainly. He's getting to his spots that he needs to on the field. He's still playing fast. His instincts are coming, and you can see the game slowing down for him. So while other people are saying, where are these impact plays from Savage? This year I was the one kind of saying, hey, I think it's kind of the opposite. I think he's playing good football, and especially over the course of these last 3 to 4 weeks, I think you've really seen the game slow down for Savage, and you start really seeing him start to make an impact. And then I think this was kind of the cherry on top, or the icing on the cake, whatever you want to call it. The 2 picks in this game, 2 poor decisions from Mitch Trubisky. Give credit to Chandon Sullivan for the coverage on the first interception, really kind of using his body to kind of shield the defender without having anywhere near a pass interference. Gives Darnell Savage a clear, path to the football. Played great center field on the play, got from point A to point B exactly how you would want him to, use that great speed, and then made a play on the football. You love to see that. And then, as he kind of mentioned in the press conference, kind of misjudged the ball and kind of jumped a little early on the second interception, but still got to a point. He mentioned he basically recognized that play as a play Minnesota ran earlier this season in week 1, and was able to recognize it. When he saw just kind of picked up on the keys of it, and he expected that to be the play from from Chicago, and read it perfectly. Another really poor decision from Mitch Trubisky. That's one of those plays where it's basically a two-read play, and you read the deep ball. And when you see 3 defenders there and Darnell Savage, retreating to make the play on that, you come down to your second read. He goes to his second read, and Allen Robinson is coming open. And, Tony Dungy and the crew did a great job of kind of recognizing that. But there's one other check down to the third side, but you're reading deep, intermediate, short, or deep, intermediate, check down. And you see deep, and you see 3-man coverage, and you see Darnell Savage floating back, who would have been the guy that cut off Allen Robinson on the second read. You're reading Savage on that. Savage flows back. You come to your second read. It's wide open in the center of the field. That's pitch and catch to Allen Robinson. That's a 15, maybe 18-yard play to Allen Robinson if you just throw an accurate pass. Instead, you're taking the shot deep into basically triple coverage. Savage intercepts the ball. It's just those type of plays from Trubisky, which has really been frustrating for the Bears. And, obviously, if you're a Packer fan, a great thing that he's not ended up anywhere near the Mahomes or Deshaun Watson's, because he hasn't been able to make those type of plays with any level of consistency. So those were kind of my key takeaways. Again, kind of a nondescript game, certainly one that you're happy with as a Packer fan. 100th win over the Chicago Bears all time. Devonta Adams picks up his 500th catch. Mercedes Lewis picks up his 400th catch. Aaron Rodgers picks up 50,000 yards passing. A lot of really fun milestones that Green Bay reached in this game. I'm not sure you learned a ton, other than, again, that you're a better team than the Chicago Bears. Thought this was a great bounce back win from a loss against Indianapolis. You still stay undefeated after losses in the Matt LaFleur era. Have never lost 2 in a row under Matt LaFleur. I think that's such a huge testament to what he's brought to this team, and making sure that one loss doesn't spiral into 2 or 3. But thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoy your Victory Monday. I hope you enjoyed the Packers win over the Chicago Bears, the 100th all-time, which is just still amazing to say. I'll be breaking it down more, including my grades as this week goes on. Make sure to check out Andrew and Kyle on the long-form edition of the podcast, the audio version, wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Until next time, and as always, go Pack, go.